also have some energy left over from that last set because we're going to head into the last one into the North American set of the day. It is Sanguine. Yeah.
We got
Let's go,
energy.
Dave.
We got
Yeah, I got
energy.
that energy. Okay, we
We're
got
in
the
it.
energy back in there. YeezyPogChamp versus Sanguine. This will be a pretty close match from what it is that I'm suspecting. I mean, we have two of the top three teams in the North American, top four teams, excuse me, in the North American bracket already present. You have YeezyPogChamp, which is a seed number 4, and Sanguine, seed number 3 from last time I checked.
Yeah, and Sanguine. I think I have been thrilled watching sort of the turnaround that this squad has had here in this phase. It's been the storyline for a few weeks now, for good reason. Sanguine win the phase 1 tournament. I mean, the mid-season tournament goes to Sanguine, and then they just have a brutal start to the phase, but they have really started to turn things on. And that's what I was talking about with you earlier on in our first set of the
Yeah.
day, where while standings, not necessarily set in stone, but we're getting into the final weeks here, so I don't necessarily want to see Sanguine. I mean, obviously you want to end on a win, but I want to see this week, next week, the week after. However many weeks left there are before the World Championships start. That's where I'm getting my data from in how I'm feeling about these teams. So definitely looking at YeezyPogChamp as well, right on that cusp going into Worlds. But I think Sanguine are the ones have been doing well. Still a little bit more to prove to me before I'm given the full double thumbs up.
Well, in terms of before we can, of course, start the set, we have to go over the map bans that both teams oppose to us. YeezyPogChamp are going to get rid of Warder's Gate and Ice Mines, while Sanguine decides to take a different approach and ban Frog Isle and Ascension Peak. We can head right into the picks and bans and see where we're going to this first map, which I believe is Stone Keep, if I heard, or Split Stone Quarry.
So
Oh, okay, okay.
I think the way this works is the stones get all broken up and stuff at Splitstone Quarry, and then were used maybe to make Stone Keep. I don't.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know.
Except they're
Lore?
different colors, right? I mean, it's all gray stone and Stone Keep, and Splitstone Quarry is very, very tan. So yeah, the lore probably dictates something entirely different. But we have moved from Splitstone Quarry instead on over to Stone Keep. Stone Keep pretty standard, all things considered. We've seen some interesting ideas moving into this map here today, but remember in our previous set, Finch and I were talking about it. Just that one addition of the extra mobility that the other team didn't have, the Willow notably, made all the difference in the world. So I think a place you can get out drafted on a map like Stone Keep is if one team has the better opportunity of kind of flip-flopping from side to side, even if it's just one character, very, very quickly. Willow goes over to the left, low ground side, helps out her tank, moves back over to the right-hand side, helps out with the high ground fight as well. So that is an area, I think, where teams can start to fall behind in the pick ban phase. Definitely something we'll have to keep our eyes on.
Well, you got Turbo Terminus ban column of YeezyPogChamp, while Sanguine decide to make this a Lex and Strix sort of ban-worthy game, if anything. You already got all 4 bans locked and loaded to go. Well, they now have their picks to choose from as YeezyPogChamp have the first side, a first pick for their side, I believe, which is Vivian. No surprise there.
Yeah, sorry, the dog was biting my ankle. Who would have figured that an Australian Shepherd would try to be
Right.
hurting me, right, while I'm working. So I had to reach down and remedy that situation just for a moment. Vivian, that's a strong first pick statement here. Usually fighting up on that high ground side. Now YeezyPogChamp are going to need something good in that off tank department to open up some of that extra space for her, just because of the way this works. Atlas, all right, that's definitely one way of doing it. Whether it's the wall, whether it's the setbacks. If Vivian and Atlas are able to play together, sometimes you can see a Vivian operating on her own, but the way Stone Keep works, you get very skinny in a lot of those doorways. So you need an off tank to kind of break you into that opening before you're really feeling all that comfortable. So I don't mind the way YPC have drafted here through their first 3. Fernando, an interesting pick with all of the point tanks still available. Inara could just be completely foregone here in this draft, which is wild to me. Barrack still seeing a bit of a rise. So while I like what they have paired together with the Vivian and the Atlas, I think Rom and Barrack are just better in the off tank and tank department. So I think a win on one side for YeezyPogChamp. I think a win on the other side for Sanguine.
Well, you've got Vivian, Atlas, Fernando, Grover, Shaw, Lin to round out the side on blue. And Sanguine, they've picked up the other pocket hero. They've got Genos, Androxus, Rom, Barrett, Canessa to round things off here. Since Strix was out of the mix, of course, Sanguine are going to opt to pick up the other sniper. They feel like it's a problem on this map. How do you feel about her chances into this composition, though, Dolson? Do you feel like YeezyPogChamp have drafted something that sort of puts a shutdown to that, even with no flight?
I think Shaolin, if anyone, is going to have the most to say
Hmm.
about this Canessa. Atlas as well, I think, to an extent. Vivian from that far, will be able to do some damage, but Canessa will be able to stare down some of it and return it over onto YPC. So I do think Canessa could get made uncomfortable, but there's not really all that much backline dive. It's all about range here for YeezyPogChamp and more mobility. I said that was so important on this map. I think Sanguine between an Andro, a Canessa, a Rom, I think they're more mobile. I think that's going to make a difference.
Okay, well, you heard it here first from Dolson, folks. Let's head
No, I
right
don't
into
say that.
game on Stone. Let's head right into
I'm
game
calling it.
on
This is game over.
Stone Keep. On Stone Keep for both of these teams. And once again, this is not far apart in terms of seeding. You've got the third and fourth seed here, so I can imagine that this game will be close. If anything, both of these teams obviously are going to try their best to do something. And I suspect everyone, actually. No booby trap, no opportunity in chaos for Vivian. Suspect everyone. This extra shielding help. Why do you feel like that's the case?
Maybe it really is to be able to stare down some of that extra damage that Sanguine would be bringing. I mean, you got to be able to withstand some of these Canessa shots. I mean, a little bit of extra shielding to turn around on an Androxus is always going to be important. I think there's a world where you're realizing there are a lot of line of sight breaks, a lot of mobility on both of the damage dealers from Sanguine. Just being able to trade a little bit more effectively with them might pay off in the long run a little bit more.
Well, it seems like full control of Keep has gone to the side of YeezyPogChamp, albeit the objective percentage is close, but now the gap is widening thanks to Fernando sitting on point. Gogurt has to be careful about peeking out of this doorway. A lot of people already are keeping track on him, so they definitely will be the first ones to shoot as soon as they see him. They actually force out the reversal on Androxus. They use the setback to make sure that reversal ends up getting canceled. They're just firing into the back of Car. They get that first blood. That's already said and done. 60% to 39 as both Hero and Matthew are moving on and off of the objective here. As things are sort of taking a slow turn towards Sanguine right now for that first pick. The second one sort of snowballs its way right into Sanguine's hands as Poison looks for another opportunity to see if he can find another kill.
And look at, the mobility, basically cut it, clip it, put it on a loop, because I've said it so many times, but look at how well it's been paying off for Sanguine. I mean, everyone from YeezyPogChamp funneled into this high ground side. Poison, by his own choice, stays down low with Yato Acosta here, but he went up, he went down, into the sides. I mean, it was too much, I think, for YeezyPogChamp to really keep track of. It was close, 72%. But I think the second wind was more effective from Sanguine. And Androxus can dash away at the last minute if he needs to, take a deep breath. You don't really get that opportunity with a Vivian, with a Shaolin. So I think that's something that on the mid fights will be very powerful. It gets a little bit simplified here on these pushes, though, where mobility, while important for high to low, isn't necessarily important in swapping fights from left to right.
The artists seem to have turned things around for them. Divider goes out, of course, stop the shots from Canessa mattering, but a few seconds later you have a situation where not only Sinkari gets a double, but Hero at least tries to even the odds here. They take out one of them, but Yeezy are holding on pretty hard to this push right now, as a couple of kills means they can't continually push in the cart like how they were only moments before. Mwadok find an opportunity for themselves to move up near the stairs, focus down that ROM, but there is assistance available to them. You have the Exile in the palm of your hand. You managed to use it directly on the point tank, but that doesn't matter because of the fact that you already have two people surrounding you up on the high ground, which means that it'll be a lot harder to try and make this worthwhile for yourself. Matthew moves in, tries to stall the cart, burn a little bit of that respawn time on some of his teammates, but it's still being problematic for him overall, as Sanguine have not stopped their cart, only being stalled for only a couple of seconds before now, it no longer matters. The cart is rolling in, and they have to the way they contest here. One gets set back. Matthew drops directly onto the objective here. They're trying to see what they can do. They use the Immortal as well, as Quick tries to sprint out, but not quick enough to escape some of the fire and flames coming from Matthew. Hero follows his example, makes it out this time as they end up using the Whirlwind to keep their team alive. YeezyPogChamp doing their best, but the minute that Mawdog lets down that shit, well, his guard is dropped in the head. It has been popped on the side of YeezyPogChamp. They find 2 kills for their team, making it a 3rd one in the form of Ballenberry and a 4th in the form of Yato Acosta. The next one that probably will go down is Matthew. No Immortal remaining for him, as Sanguine make this a 2-0.
Well, the way Sanguine were able to delay through a lot of those ultimates from YeezyPogChamp, I think is wild. I mean, that Immortal, I think, might have had a chance at really just finishing off that fight. But Sanguine were able to withdraw quick enough and move themselves out of the direct line of danger when it really mattered most. And then the second wind, I keep talking about that, whether it's on the mid fight or some team fights are going to be happening around this payload. The second engagement from Sanguine is just so strong because at a moment's notice, they can flip the way and the place that these fights are occurring in a way that YeezyPogChamp can't. You know, a Kinessa can suddenly swap sides, and Androxus can suddenly move from a different angle. The Accursed Arm up in the sky definitely softened up the defense. I think Sanguine are taking those advantages and making them work, and big in getting them their second point.
Yeah, it seems like as the round starts, once again, of course, they're already engaged in keep. They will do their best to hold on to it once more. It went well for them last time. They want to try and make it work out the same way this go around, especially with the 2-0 being the case. Once again, Hero, Matthew, both of them dashing in and off the objective, finding their proper times to contest one another. Gain percentage towards their team. They use the Void Grip, lift Matthew up, but he dashes out of it to make sure that he finds a better vantage point for himself. They're putting in more and more damage into Hero, but they use the Dome Shield as well. That Dome Shield is slowly but surely, gradually, some might say, even lowering time and time again. Once it's gone, though, Yato Acosta finds the advantage, picks off Poison, and everyone's still holding on in whatever way they can. Matthew actually isn't even standing on the objective here and moves up for a little bit longer. Now they'll actually be able to net some percentage for their team. They have comeback mechanic, 4% every tick. So that means that they'll be able to even up the gap a little bit quicker than before.
Yeah, that's the big thing here is the comeback mechanic, where Sanguine sometimes can take a deep breath and work back in. Now you got the Exiles. That's definitely going to be a conversion there. Really brought to you by FastCap. I think YeezyPogChamp, though, have shown that after Sanguine throw their initial engagement at the wall, that they have a draft that while you're not going to be completely reinventing the wheel on your second fight, the Atlas, the Grover have done so well in delaying the fight just long enough to give YeezyPogChamp a moment to breathe, heal up, buy this Vivian a little bit of space. So it's two teams kind of doing two different things here, in my opinion. And sometimes, 2 times now, Sanguine have made their mobile reset style work a little bit better. And now on this mid fight, YeezyPogChamp were able to find a crack in the armor, kill off Sanguine just once, and then again, comeback mechanic is there, but then slow down the re-entry to the fight from Sanguine, and that was enough for YeezyPogChamp.
It seems like they haven't really been subbed at all. Almost like the flip side. Sanguine last round had done the same thing YeezyPogChamp are now doing to them. Really a return to form here for this team. The card is still rolling right on through. Quick tries to come in, sees we can knock up a couple of them, but still at the end of the day, he's going to have to retreat. Drops down, goes for the Cataclysm, finds it in the back of Mawdog, and actually manages to hit Ballenberry behind. It allows Gogurt to pick up that kill, but Mawdog takes advantage of a bad situation and takes care. Quick, Gogurt, double kill already as Shaolin's trying to see if he can dismount her from high ground. If anything, through time and space manages to find one. I thought that was about to be a lot bigger because it looked like a lot of them had lined up just for that, but they do at least manage to find one. They even find a second one as a couple members on YeezyPogChamp are respawning back in the fray. They still can't push up all the way because of the deficit of numbers.
Yeah, it's very important that Sanguine was able to just find that one kill because things were getting real close and real scary just for a moment for the defending team. This is a big defense. I mean, this, all things considered, a somewhat quick game. All of these carts have been rolling pretty quickly. You've only really seen 1.5 fights on a lot of these mid fights, so Sanguine on the verge of going up 1 in what has been very snowbally one way or the other. YeezyPogChamp have everything ready to go ultimates-wise. Sanguine's still working on getting there, so these moments actually are pretty tense. Sanguine won't hate it if they're at least able to charge up some of those ults, even if YeezyPogChamp tie things up. But it depends on who can find maybe an opening kill. And once Sinkara's abilities are down, it makes them easier to kill off.
Well, over time, it's already done for now, and that means Sanguine net themselves third point against YeezyPogChamp coming into this next round. 4 ultimates up for Sanguine, though. 60%, well, practically 60%, excuse me, for Baller Steve already, as the ultimate's going to be up soon enough. 4 for Sanguine already, as YeezyPogChamp have 5 ultimates up and in the bank so far. Modok, tons of damage, leaps and bounds over a variety of different characters and the players in this game. What do you feel like they need to do to try and shut down that Vivian? If she's getting that much damage off, doesn't matter what she's shooting into, that's still something you have to keep in mind.
No, I agree, and I was concerned about the Vivian because there's a lot of dive potential for Sanguine that YeezyPogChamp doesn't necessarily have. But what YeezyPogChamp does have on the back line is the ability to peel out some of that dive. So Sanguine, I think, need to diversify a little bit on how they're fighting in. But look at, I mean, it's so difficult. I mean, it's a full 5-stack in here on the high ground. Really, I think a lot of it comes down to Gogurt, the ability to burst down some damage, burst down that shield, make the Vivian uncomfortable, set her up for some follow-up from one of the other members of Sanguine. That's going to be the big difference maker here.
Already seems to be exiled. Gets popped and looking for an opportunity to stop Zone 1 from moving out of their position, lock him in place if anything, but it's not going to find much. He's going to cancel it early and put out the divider. Stop wrong. Quick is trying to see if he can flood damage into people in the team, holding it mostly by himself. Cataclysm goes out, but nobody to maximize on. They have actually forced out the Whirlwind, all based off of that ultimate in its own right. They're using a bunch of ultimates back and forth, time and time again on both teams. They're not going to really be able to find much. And FYI, in case you're wondering why Andrew was just shooting over there randomly, he thought Yado was somewhere over there. He thought Shaw Layden was invisible. Doesn't quite know exactly where he is, but Yado finds himself one. Matthew, the same thing he said about him is Poison, decides to try and even up the odds a little bit by taking care of one of the people that was on the other team. Now it seems like everyone's trying to fight back on objective, but it still can go either way, 93% to 51.
Sanguine almost got no value for their ults there, whereas YeezyPogChamp got a lot. The Immortal, again, I think was huge here. And that's one thing. I mean, you ask what can they do to change things around? You gotta make good on the ultimates that should buy you kills. The Accursed Arm really gets shut down there. Cataclysm didn't find much. Maybe you flank around behind Modok. Maybe that'll give you a shot. But YeezyPogChamp, they're in overtime, and Sanguine have to fight back in.
Matthew's already pretty low in terms of HP. He has to get the out of combat healing to make himself more relevant. Ball and Barry, he's over there now. He's able to at least make it work for him, but may have shown up at the wrong place at the wrong time. Sinkara drops down, tries to deal with poison as the temporal divide goes up already. Modok is in a situation where he has to escape, being trapped by so many people with Sanguine. The entire time we're on the objective. They were slowly netting percentage for themselves, and they were actually able to take it because of that. It allows them to win and take the first point of the set.
Wow, and YeezyPogChamp not able to get back in, get that overtime touch there. Very surprised. It looks like it was just a matter of time. We'd definitely be going into overtime and then just see how the fights work out from then. The Exiles were channeled there, and that's why I thought maybe there's going to be a shot here. You lock down a couple of the members of Sanguine, and that opens up the door for YPC to get a safer, easier touch in on there. It's got to be frustrating, I think, if you're Mwadak, you do 102,000 damage in a 4-1 game, 25,000 higher than anyone else in the game. But then you look at the damage numbers, not that Poison did. They were good, but not that Poison did, or that Gogurt did. But look at what Hero did, 74,000 damage on this barrack. So while, you have Gogurt in the back line providing some good snipe shots, Poison flanking around, nice and mobile, 10 and 6, so he did die a lot, but not too many times by any means. But I think Hero and unsung hero in this one, 7-2 and 12.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we start to see Barrack a little bit more. His numbers are looking a little bit better. The Genos is always going to be a great pairing with him. It has the potential to do top damage numbers, and not only is he tanky, he does some decent damage, and I think in this case, you know, the addition of another 74,000 or so damage into that damage pool really gave Sanguine another kind of edge up on their competition outside of some of the mobility and other things that we had talked about.
We can head right into the next map, or I should say the next pick and ban phase, which will be Jaguar Falls here on map number 2. Not surprised to see that one, a usual suspect in terms of how
Hmm.
these games go. Everyone loves Jaguar Falls. I really enjoy the Jaguar Falls as well. We see a lot of blasters here. I mean, we even see Dredge once before last year. A lot of the time we saw Drogos be brought out here at Bomb King more recently. No Moji, unfortunately. It has been a while since we've seen her on here, but she's sort of just been sent off to the abyss,
Hmm.
Not really too worried about that one. Terminus and Torvald are going to be the first two bans, though.
Yeah, poor Moji.
Yeah.
Maybe one day. Hey,
Yeah.
we're starting to see some different picks. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe Moji comes back one of these days. Lots of front lines being taken off the table here. Makoa as well continues to be top ban over the likes of Inara, over the likes of Barrack. So I think that is interesting. And then Alex down the line here. So I wonder if that hints at maybe YeezyPogChamp hoping this Barrack falls to them, so then you don't have the Lex to fight in against, or they were hoping maybe the Vivian fell to them, and the Lex would have a decent matchup into some of those picks there as well. I think Lex on Jag Falls is a fine ban here. There's enough that you might be working for in your draft that he can kind of counter out. I think that maybe makes that worthwhile. Rom and Genos, though, we're talking about counters. Genos definitely great at locking down the Rom, so I think it's a good start to your draft here. You probably wanted the Rom more than anything, but then you also get the Genos to take that away from Sanguine. And so I think YeezyPogChamp happy. Nothing all that surprising, nothing all that wild in their first two picks, but they're both good picks, and I think they've started off great.
Yeah, and I for a second I forgot what year we were in to see Makoa and Torvald back in the band column once again.
Right?
It's very prominent picks. I mentioned this already earlier, but these are two bands that we saw last year in the Pro League back then, and they've returned to form here once again. The band column returned to their true home. They say Rom, Genos, Bomb King on the side of YeezyPogChamp. I'm scared to play into a Bomb King that it has been Genos buffed.
Mm-hmm.
Because once again, the nerf it was that Bomb King received was that he now does the same damage as all the other blasters.
Right.
So with Genos in his back pocket, that means that he's going to be doing more, which is basically what he was doing before he received a little bit of the nerf. But they want to go for the Barrack again. I think that's important to point out.
I think it is as well, and now maybe again shining some light on that Lex as far as their draft goes. Sanguine, they have an interesting squad here. No true point tank. I suppose you could send Atlas back to do that job. Very cooldown dependent on him is kind of the way we always describe it. If his array of cooldowns are down, he's kind of a last standing man.
Okay. All
right. I'll let you take it from here, Fawn. We didn't expect it, but there we go.
This is. Wait, is this actually not a joke? Are you being serious? That they actually picked Moji? That's not a joke. They actually picked Moji on this map.
I thought he said not a pick for a second in our ears, and not a joke.
Okay,
All right, so it is confirmed. Lock it in.
Okay.
Us here on the PPC, we project Moji to be the 5th and final pick for YeezyPogChamp.
Okay. I thought that it was going to be more of a joke, but
No,
all right.
it's there. All right, look. All right,
okay.
So we'll analyze it. Yeah, right. So to clarify here, just on our end, you'll see when we get into game, it'll be reflected that way. But drafts are flipped here. So Sanguine is the one with Rom, Genos, Bomb King, Barrack, Moji. Of course, YeezyPogChamp then on the left-hand side of your screen. Obviously, we will reflect that in game, but just for the time being, flop the teams on top of the screen in your own brains. Moji. Look, I mean, the core of Moji is the same, right? I mean, she can magic barrier, do damage, heal herself up. I mean, the core of what works for her is still around, so maybe numbers-wise they'll be different. Let's jump into game 2, Fawn, and see how things end up turning around here. Boom, boom. Because it was Toot for a while.
It was, yes.
Right, and now it's boom, boom. So what you're assuming now, if you're running this, is that YeezyPogChamp are going to be playing close and knit with one another, and I think. I think that's a fair assumption, given that there's a Grover doing a lot of the healing on the other side. I think Gogurt has the ability to make this pick work. I mean, you see the crippling axe, though. That's going to be tough for Gogurt to fight on into. What a read from Sanguine. YeezyPogChamp go one way, and Sanguine to say, okay, we'll take some point cap and flip to the other.
Yeah, they're going to back off here. And if there's one person I would expect to be decent, or at least to absolutely know what he's doing with Moji, it would be the number 2 Moji stand in the Paladins community. I would say for sure. 48% already. I think he goes by Fawn the Legend, if anything. I think that might be the number. Yes. Fawn Boyardee, if anything. Sanguine have 48% already available to him, as 27 is for YeezyPogChamp. I think it's really interesting to see that they already ended up sort of taking this one away. They had so much percentage on the point, even with the rotation to try and counter out the engage there. But Rom comes right back around and they delete Jaguar Falls. Yep. And this is about as good of a look as you want to have, especially when you get deleted like that. That Moji damage, nothing to be underestimated. Gogurt playing it to the potential. However, Matthew comes around, makes sure he gets that last hit. Vivian doing the most damage, with Matthew finishing it off.
I'll admit I was worried without some of the scoot sustain, but it's looked okay for Gogurt here up to this point. The way that YeezyPogChamp have to play it, really the way you have to play Jaguar Falls, has made some of that damage a little bit more confirmable quick. Does he stay alive? He does. The time bomb, though, sets up for a couple kills.
Ooh, already it seems like YeezyPogChamp have taken this one by storm as they flip the script almost instantly on the next to retake opportunity that they had. That means Sanguine now has the shoe on the other foot. They've been the ones that have failed to capture the point. YeezyPogChamp will say thank you very much and take that first point for themselves on Jaguar Falls. Now they're playing by the staircase, zoning out whoever might be on the side of Sanguine. They're going to go for the exiles, though. Oh my goodness, he got her during the startup of her dash, and that's what I worked out. But King Bomb rolls through, manages to stun Sankara, but he rewinds perfect time and manages to keep himself alive. Moji jumps right on in, looking for the opportunity to find damage. Same thing for Hero. They're trying to hold their ground here, but they keep falling one after the next.
Yeah, this is looking good for YeezyPogChamp. Now Sanguine with, I'm not going to say it's a super squishy draft, but somewhat squishy. A draft that does not want to be on the back foot is on the back foot. This is where YeezyPogChamp can seriously make up some ground, and they are doing so. I mean, there's 1 minute and 45 seconds left. Then the question becomes, though, can you fight into a Moji that loves spreading out that damage, into a Bomb King that likes doing the same? They're split, though. Look at Sanguine. I mean, they're fighting a battle on one front, a battle on the other front. It's a one-for-one trade, and for the time being, it maybe seems like both teams are benefiting from it. But a lot of progress has been made on this capture.
Quick was looking for an opportunity to see if he can get that last hit on Wadog, but turns out that's not going to be the case. The rest of the team peel back and stop Rom from doing much of anything to their DPS. 1 minute and 5 still on the clock. YeezyPogChamp have an opportunity to make their way back onto the cart. They're just biding time, waiting for their teammates to come back before they make the leap to push forward once again. Sinkar also push up onto the staircase. Same thing for Jaguar Acosta. The group could buy a ball and bury as well, though, so they've got the heals and the damage to make sure they can roll right on through, just like the King Bomb coming in, finds the stun, finds 2. Will he find the 3rd? He doesn't, but Gogurt does, and makes sure that he can actually get those kills. They full on team wipe up what looks like a prevalent opportunity for YeezyPogChamp to retake the objective. They've managed to lose that in Storm by Sanguine.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, now Sanguine, I don't even know if YeezyPogChamp are going to be able to make it back to the cart at this point, unless somebody kind of sneaks a little flank in around the side, which could happen. But at this point, that was such a dominant team fight from Sanguine, and again, it's a draft that is so hard to fight into, whether it's a Bomb King, whether it's a Moji, that it does make sense why Sanguine had that little bit of momentum on the defensive foot there. I think Poison has done really well on this Bomb King, and Quick at 2-2 and 6, I think, has been pretty hard to lock down. I want to see him kind of get their footing back underneath them on this mid-fight, though. You had a great start to things. Sanguine did, kind of fell down there towards the stretch as YeezyPogChamp fought back in. Now you got some items online, you got some credits there as well. I think Sanguine, they're in a good spot. But YeezyPogChamp, they got the ultimates. One time bomb really flipped that last mid-fight on its head, and could do the same here.
Yeah, it already seems like they have an opportunity to make this go towards the side of Sanguine if they have bigger ults like Poison was able to provide, but that that ultimate from Moji, snack time, I definitely would be a little bit more cautious with that, especially if he's waiting to find some of those priority picks. Those tanks get deleted in the instant. They try to use the setback and manage to miss it. Sin Cara doesn't quite find it here, but they both want to push in through this one. Divider goes up quick in a bad spot here as they're trying to come through. Cataclysm goes out, time bomb, all the whole 9 yards and a double kill. Goes through time and space. Poison, the overpower gets thrown, quick gets thrown right off the side of the map, and they try and take care of the Moji, but it's not enough. Baller Steve finds 2 in a through time and space.
That is massive for Sanguine, and that is going to be almost a completely uncontested mid-fight win there for the Sanguine squad. YeezyPogChamp, they tried. Those ultimates just didn't connect the same way they did previously, and Sanguine, fun, they have the ability. I know, Ramsey, it's all getting so exciting. Sanguine have the ability to kind of keep this ball rolling here with a couple of their ultimates. Snack Time, Dome Shield, King Bomb. Those are going to maybe go a long way here in building up some of this progress.
Seen it go a long way before when Poison's able to start things off with that Dome Shield. They might try and go for it if they're all grouped up right there. They might not even need to, especially if they're finding the damage onto too many different targets. As YeezyPogChamp, they lose one, they lose the second. The rest of them on stairs has to back up. Sin Cara is at least able to find one, but can't even find the time to actually manage the setback. They're just going to hold on to the staircase for right now, as most of them are now towards their spawn. They can't push out. They got to wait for their tanks. Once again, on the side of YeezyPogChamp is Gogurt. Wants to be a little bit more aggressive, as he tries to push right on it. Yellow crossing uses the smoke screen, tries to see if he can hide himself for a little bit. But even still, Gogurt is holding secret. Doesn't want to give up that angle. Still doing what he can through time and space. Finds another. Yellow Acosta is taken down out of the fray here for 8 seconds. It's now quick, has to see if he can move in. This is the advantage that they wanted. This is what they want to push on, and they find another kill. 2 already down for right now, as we have a minute remaining on the clock. They're trying to be pushed back. If anything, YeezyPogChamp are having a hard time holding their ground here, as the car is steadily inching forward. Yato tries to contest in the smoke screen, but they find another kill on him, and that's 3-1 on Sanguine.
Man, fun. You know, if you look realistically, it's that gap between cart capture and in YeezyPogChamp's base where Sanguine are going to struggle the most. But you look at their draft and where they want to be fighting, the moment that Gogurt and Poison, as poor as Moji is doing, sorry to say it, man, she is second to least damage in the game, but Matthew is as well. Matthew is lowest damage in the game, even the healers above both of those two. But the moment that Emoji, a Bomb King, a Rom make their way into your base and you're forced into those side hallways, I mean, you're fighting an uphill battle, even though you're the team that's on defense. It's effectively Sanguine's base there at that point. And YeezyPogChamp just couldn't regain control there on the defensive side. You're missing your through time and space in your Dome Shield. YeezyPogChamp don't have their overpower. So I'd still call that somewhat even in the ult department going into this mid.
3% already for Sanguine. They were able to step on for about a couple seconds, but they can't stay on. They need to find a pick here. Cataclysm goes out. Voluntary using the Whirlwind to counter the engagement from Rom. They use the time bomb. So many opportunities to find the kill, and the shield was broken. Sin Cara was putting so much damage into Barrett's shield that by the time it broke, the time bomb just submitted the kill. It's a Bomb King. They find plenty of bodies to pile up on the side of YeezyPogChamp, as they now have gained control over the objective and have now gained the space they wanted to find against Sanguine.
Man, that saves the game here, I think, for YeezyPogChamp. And you know, there's a world, this YeezyPogChamp team is going to have a tough time fighting into Sanguine. I think Sanguine just have a fantastic Jaguar Falls draft. It's going to be so difficult to break this defense. I mean, I could see a world where we end up just moving on to another mid-fight, still at 2-3, though the card is moving itself in. This is ground I think that Sanguine are okay with giving up, because similar, Steve hits another one, my man is just not missing. Similar to how, you know, Sanguine want to be fighting here on the push, this is their defensive home. I mean, this is their dojo where they want to be fighting YeezyPogChamp in these types of angles. So you snipe one and you take up some extra ground. I think that's a good call. This is shaping up to be a fantastic defense from Sanguine.
Yeah, they also use the overpower as well, looking for an opportunity to see where They can land their shots, but they don't quite find the mark for overpower. They at least do find the kill. I believe Quick, Sukan was trying to grab in that scenario, but even still, they're holding the corner around here, 3-2 so far, as Yeezy are really trying to fight onto the objective. They have to concede. Sanguine already lost one, so they have to wait for them to come back and return to their original spots. They can't quite push up as much as they would like to. And as a result, that means Yeezy can now retake the objective and keep rolling the card on it.
Sure can. There's a minute left. 2/3 of the time is off the clock here. It's an early whirlwind from Ball and Berry. Largely mitigated is that King Bomb. Yaro Acosta is able to find a kill on the back end of this fight. So you're missing Hero, but you still have this ROM. It's all about delaying now. You're saying it's all about just buying time, and that's exactly what this team is doing. They're not really having to turn their heads all that much. Things looking good now. Big kills all coming out from Sanguine. Sort of a long, drawn-out fight. It was kind of just YeezyPogChamp funneling their way right into the mid. About 25 seconds left, though, Fawn. This is definitely territory where YeezyPogChamp can give it a go, but I don't think they have the ults to get it done.
Yeah, neither do I. It's going to take a miracle or potentially an early pick. Maybe someone is out of position, but it doesn't seem like Sanguine's giving them the opportunity to do so, as they now are back to where the card is. They'll at least be able to touch for overtime, but it's the moments after overtime is now triggered that will matter if they can roll this card right on in. Matthew wants to hold mid as best as he can. The smoke screen goes down. Same thing can be said for the healing on Ball and Berry. They managed to trade things out 1-for-1 though. As Quick gets brought pretty low. He doesn't go down, but he is brought to a sliver of his health from before. They don't quite find the opportunity to take the kill on him, but they do force him back. Setback gets used, tries to stop Gogurt from staying where he is to contest the card, but once he goes down, there's no one else to contest. Hero is there, but he's already at half health. He doesn't want to peek, and he's made that known by shooting through Secret. The minute that he peeks out, it'll be a problem. Same thing can be said for Quick. Quick goes down. Same thing for Yaro Acosta, as now Hero has to try and find a way to get out of this situation, but he can't, as they are going to roll this one in. There's no one else to stand there. Gogurt can't live for long. That's a 3-3 tie. 5 ultimates on the side of Sanguine, 3 on the side of YeezyPogChamp.
I'm like on another planet today with my caster's curse. I mean, it is unbelievable how opposite things have been. And that is just nuts. I stand by it. Look, I don't think that's necessarily a prove right or prove wrong sort of thing. I didn't think that YeezyPogChamp had the footing to get there, but I didn't. Sanguine, I guess, didn't either. The damage. I mean, you look at Mwadak. Technically, the Sentinels are the ultimate. But you know, it charges up. It doesn't wear out. So obviously, you're going to use that one. That provides enough extra value to sort of brute force things on their way in here. I thought this one might take a little bit longer, but I didn't expect a 0.7 right away. I thought it'd still be 3-2 here. They flank around the backside, could be a different thing.
Yeah, but all they've done is now ring around the Rosie their way into the opposing enemy spawn. Both sides are now switched as they try to do what they can. Cataclysm goes out, finds someone on Matthew. Tom's face might be huge. Matthew backs up into it. He doesn't have anywhere to go. Snack time for Moji. She feeds her dragons well. They find plenty of kills and plenty of food to fill up that stomach of theirs. They're in the back line. Quick as they are. Gogurt with a triple kill. 60% for Sanguine as they found themselves such a good opportunity to zone and cash this dub in for a win. They roll right on through. King Bomb gets the stun on Matthew. No one else can really do much of anything. He dashes in, but they body block at the last second. Sanguine with a 2-0.
Wow, what a way to fight back. I mean, you might be feeling a bit beat down there if you're Sanguine after the way that the defense had just ended for you, but you wouldn't have guessed it. I think realistically, that's the sort of deal where you're on defense. You say, guys, we've been rolling these mid fights. Like we don't need to spend anything. If this one goes in, so what? We're taking our chances with a mid that has worked for us more times than it hasn't so far here this game. So I mean, this one's close. Don't think any other way about it. But I think that cart that rolls in, while obviously you want to keep it at bay if you're Sanguine, it's a calculated risk where you could have spent some ultimates, kept things at that 3-2 mark, but they knew, I think, that they had more momentum going in to that next mid fight. So it definitely makes some sense. Moji picked up in the damage department a little bit, but look at what Poison did here. 140,000 damage on this Bomb King. Modak did 120,000, so kind of matching up there, but a 20K difference is pretty big. Nobody else in like the everyone else is in that like 80 to 90. I don't think anyone else broke 90K damage. So
Right.
both of those two near unstoppable here this game. And it's not necessarily the way he played. I think Yato Acosta, a bit of a weak link in the draft this time around. The Sky had that one really nice time bomb play that
Right.
gave YeezyPogChamp a fighting chance, but 7 and 13 is just not what you're hoping for out of your flank. I mean, tough. I mean, we talked a bit
Mhm.
about how hard it is to fight into that draft anyway. So I'm giving a bit of life rope to Yato Acosta here. I think there's maybe an excuse that it was a bit of a tough game, but definitely one of the spots where it felt lopsided.
Yeah, and there were. I mean, you got to give Baller Steve credit where credit is due, right? I mean, hitting those
Yeah, how do I
ultimates
not mention that?
every time. Every time
My
he ends up
man.
using those ults, they get an immediate pick. He even got a double kill at one point that cemented Sanguine the ability to turn it into a 2-0. From that point on, it just became a harder battle for YeezyPogChamp to fight. We're gonna head right into picks and bans for map 3, which will be Split Stone Quarry. A bigger map, longer angles that you have to hold. We've seen snipers banned on this map as well. I could imagine the same thing could be the case here.
Yeah, definitely. Not too many differences, at least in that department. So it definitely could be somewhat similar. I think the bans are really going to dictate what we start to see play style wise from both of these squads. And a tough spot now for Sanguine as well. Do you let the Kinessa through or do you take both snipers away? Kinessa's fantastic on this map. She has the ability to move back and forth between those bleacher sides, lava side. Her mobility is really what sets her apart here. Or
Mhm.
do you take away the Corvus? The Corvus is still available, and some teams in NA under prioritize Corvus wherever he might be. But you're really in a spot here, Fawn, because of that Torvald ban that Sanguine kind of have to pick one of the two or both. That's an important note to let through. I don't know if Kinessa or Corvus was really that conversation piece. That's where my mindset was. Vivian is what YeezyPogChamp ended up grabbing anyway. So I imagine Vivian maybe instead of the Kinessa was in that conversation. But that's the right call from Sanguine. You take something away like the Lex that does have some value, but still leaves a couple of those priority picks open for yourself, allowing you to get one or the other. In this case, YeezyPogChamp gets the Vivian, and now we'll get a look at what Sanguine figured they wanted to leave on the table.
Yeah, I mean, Vivian first pick means YeezyPogChamp have plenty
Makoa, I
of
guess.
damage in their back pocket. Sanguine with the Androxus Makoa, though, you did get rid of one of them, but you didn't quite catch the other. Makoa being on the side of Sanguine means they have not only a very strong frontliner, but plenty of burst damage in their pocket as well. Kinessa, Barrick being locked in on the side of YeezyPogChamp. This is weird. We're seeing Barrick being prioritized, excuse me, over the Sonara.
Yeah.
That's not something that we've seen. I've seen Barrick be picked over Anara, but not this many times in a row.
Maneuverability, survivability, good damage. I mean, Barrick, it's been largely centered around his numbers, whether it's shielding, whether it's sustain, is where he's been changed. But the core of what Barrick wants to do is still there, and now he's on a bit of a bounce back, and I like to see it. And I was surprised earlier on today, but it just makes sense. All these teams really starting to catch on to what works with Barrick, what doesn't work with Barrick. I love what YeezyPogChamp have drafted here. I
Mhm.
think this Vivian poured out damage in game number 2, was outdone only by the Bomb King that Sanguine have yet again. So that's going to be a fun battle to watch. I don't know about the range though. The range discrepancy here. Androxus is going to have his hands full in trying to get back onto this Kinessa, especially with how mobile she is. Because Bomb King, you fight over by bleachers, you fight over by lava. Your space control is going to be more efficient there than anywhere else. Khan is going to have some great targets here. I love Bomb King, love Andro. I think YeezyPogChamp have a more well-rounded draft though going into game 3.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I mean, having that Kinessa means that you'll be able to hold a lot longer angles. We've seen Androxus in situations where he jumps up, tries to recursive arm, and then gets headshot. We can only tell if that's how the game's actually going to go once we head right on into it. So, Chris, you can take us right on in. Anything that you see different about the talents? I mean, seeing Crush and Suspect everyone again is
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, the stun on Shadowfall, sure, but Everyone knows that Rizzo is now cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Why take the crush?
Yeah, I think you're just looking for just one extra piece of lockdown there, even if it's just for half a second. I mean, you look at how fast Bomb King can throw out some of those shots. You imagine either it's Bomb King and Terminus fighting with each other, Bomb King and Makoa. I mean, it's just sort of the part of the CC heavy draft that we have started to see some teams work towards. And you're right, Rizzo will shrug a lot of that off somewhat quickly. But just having it available is going to be very important, and kind of keeping Barrick locked down where he's at as well. Those small moments are going to make a big difference in some of these point tank fights, I think. So definitely could maybe have been swapped out for something else. I think your point about the Rizzo is good and important. But I imagine we'll see a little bit of value out of it.
Yeah, 36% for Sanguine so far. They managed to get the hook, try and pull him in, but I believe the wall is what stopped Sincar from actually moving too far forward onto the back of that Makoa hook bomb being tossed out. 850 a pop means that it'll be hard for them to stand by fidget spinners. They do have to concede that Sanguine in plenty of control of the objective right now as the Ying illusion gets stunned out. Going to end up using the heal as best as they can around the place, but Mwadok has managed to flank his way into the back line. A lot of them can't peek. They're in a very bad situation. Would suspect everyone. It means they'll have a harder time trying to kill her unless that happens. In which case, Vivian goes down instantly, but Goku went down soon, or I should say, preceding that little pick that they were able to get onto Vivian.
Now it's YeezyPogChamp that are on makeup percentage territory here. And it's kind of going back and forth. It's jostling down there. This is going to be a fight won or lost by both of the tanks for either team and who they can set up and kill off.
Alright, so they want to move in. They managed to get good damage onto Matthew. 99% available to Sanguine as the percentage keeps on climbing. Mwadok, let's see if he can touch the objective, but Matthew's going to take over for him, at least for the meantime, as they found a better opportunity for them to siege up in. The minute he uses Headhunter, he gets pulled right on in. It goes down. You do hate to see that. Quick has to spin onto the objective and manages to get this touch. He moves out of the way of the commander's grab as well, but he still goes down due to the focus fire from the enemy team. They use the Dread Serpent to see if they can peel for anyone on the side of Sanguine, but the overpower followed by the toss into the fidget spinners means that they probably don't have any other chance of stalling this capture out any longer. YeezyPogChamp take the first point on Stone Quarry.
I loved what I saw from Khan there as well, and the ultimate that ended up kind of sealing the deal there in that mid-fight and how important that one was. Yado Acosta finally got a little bit of space to operate the Kinessa. Definitely a difference maker down the stretch in that fight for YeezyPogChamp. Sanguine, I mean, they're going to have these long fights just because of Sanguine, some of the sustainability that they have on their side. Makoa and Terminus are very difficult to burn through. The reanimate is going to extend a lot of these fights. But YeezyPogChamp have the damage to deal with a lot of that, whether it's a Kinessa, whether it's a Vivian with those Sentinels out. There are damage numbers that are going to be able to have something to say about those types of champions and utility and healing that Sanguine are bringing to the table. Now you start to look, Vaughn, a minute and a half left. You start to keep track of where these ultimates are, because if you're starting to use them in the next 30 seconds or so, likely won't be up towards that next mid-fight. And even early on in a game like this, really can set the wave one way or another on how the ultimates swing throughout the rest of the game.
Well, Sincar goes for the toss-up, manages to get the commander's grab off, but he won't find the kill. Mwadok will. Same thing can be said for Baller Steve. Sincar's been frozen. Honestly, no one's really been able to make it there to see if they can put a stop to it. And Mwadok goes down to poison, watching an angle for way too long. Suspect everyone can't help you out in this scenario, as he does still get killed at the end of it. Almost losing his life was the Kinessa. Yado Acosta had to use the teleporter out to make sure he didn't die to the Bomb King, as they're just sieging up, looking for opportunities to find damage here. Yado seeing where he can shoot and win. I mean, he's finding targets, but he's not finding any kills. They are at least able to make it back to cart, meaning that they have to keep pushing this one in. They only got 30 seconds remaining, or it's going to end up a tie. Considering the fact they started off killing off poison and using illusory rip, it seems like they'll be doing pretty well for themselves as the cart keeps on rolling forward.
Sure does seem that way. We have seen some captures from ranges like this. What a double tap there from Yato Acosta to turn around that fight. And that does give YeezyPogChamp a bit of a lifeline here. Things are looking dire, still are very tough. We've seen some ranged captures on Split Stone Quarry today, and this is now a chance where it could happen. Wouldn't be surprised.
Overtime is now up to expire. If anything, the minute they step off of that cart, they have to force him off. YeezyPogChamp are doing what they can to keep rolling the cart forward, but with Wadok down, makes that goal a lot harder. Instead, let's see if they can put a stop to Yato. They do manage to get rid of him. Now Matthew, one of the only ones on the point, and the only one on the point at this time, goes down, meaning we now have tied things up to a 1-1.
We sure have, and that's how I expected the defense to kind of take a turn there. Hero 0-2-8, not doing all that much killing. We wondered how the crush would end up looking for him, and hasn't found the offensive utility he might have been hoping for. But on a 5 streak now on the defensive end is really where he turned things around. I assume from 0-1-3 to 0-2-8, I suppose. But neither here nor there. We've seen a resurgence of the Terminus on the back end. Similar items for effectively everyone on YeezyPogChamp. Double cauterized, double resil at least. Matthew has triple resil, and I think that's to your point there, Fawn, where the crush now is just gonna be shrugged off a little bit better, but you're buying resil anyway, whether it's the hook, whether it's the Grumpy Bomb, whether it's the King Bomb, whether it's the Dread Serpent. You're buying resilience anyway if you're on YeezyPogChamp. So it's just one more thing that it mitigates, and that's gotta feel good. The last mid fight, that felt good for YeezyPogChamp. I don't imagine this one feels any different.
It seems like for right now, they're holding on to what they can. As he uses the accursed arm up by lava, excuse me. He wants to dash in, see if he can find the headshot, but he does not on his target though, as Matthew drops down the peel. Poppy Bomb his way in, going for the king. Bomb. The decree has been made. The court rules death as he jumps in and manages to get the kill. 48% for Sanguine. That's 33% for YeezyPogChamp. They're doing their best to see what they can do here, if they can make it back to cart. And it might be a little bit of a problem for them.
It's 87% now for Sanguine. YeezyPogChamp from range. 45% and climbing up from the team on the retake. This is similar to where things were just a moment ago. And so, you're fighting an uphill battle. 96% though for Sanguine. They're in a better spot and they get the opening kill.
Nice, good kill from Sanguine already. It seems like, for the most part, they'll be able to hold on to this point capture, if anything. But the resurrection comes right on out. The hook goes in and manages to catch out Sinkar. 99% for Sanguine so far. They still are trying to hold on. Everyone's touching the point, trying to cause the overtime, trying to let it go through. They manage to get the kill immediately onto the Maldamba as well. Matthew's already made it back onto the objective, as there are 3 of them that are looking at him, but 2 of them are too low in terms of health. Will he be able to live for long enough? He goes down, but Khan makes it back to swoop right on in. Battle Shout goes out and they kill Hero. Fallen Berry finds one on Quick and on Hero. They make it on again thanks to the Ying illusion. They jump up and come right back down. They're not going to be able to be taken off at this point. They are fighting for their lives right now. And they finally take the point away from them. Sanguine are going to be able to win the second point.
Yeah, I can't believe that. I cannot believe that Sanguine worked their way back in under the deficit of bodies. Remember, they're at 99% there effectively throughout that entire fight. They were at a body deficit though down the stretch there. You lost Hero very early on. I thought that may have just been it for that mid fight, but the ability for Maldamba and Androxus to stay alive, I think Makoa shielding did absolute wonders in that fight as well, catching up so much space the YeezyPogChamp we're trying to fight into. That one's close, but Sanguine definitely come out ahead. Now you start to look at this defensive push. Sanguine actually considering throwing out some ultimates. The Dread Serpent goes out, but remember, that one isn't going to find much thanks to all the resilience that YeezyPogChamp have built for themselves. Hero is going to get overpowered on in here. No reanimate for him. So he'll end up getting taken down. Sankara with the opening kill on this defense And the card has kind of continuously been moving now. The Dread Serpent gets used a moment ago, doesn't find much, but now it's the Overpower that does delay things out. Sanguine feels like they might have a little extra pushing power at the moment.
Yeah, it seems like right now that Quick has managed to make his way back into the fray and lands the hook onto Sin Cara. They're trying to fight him back, but of course his team is going to be there to peel for Sin Cara when needed. They have the King Bomb, they're holding on to it. Not too good of an angle or any opportunity to find the ultimate, especially when you die. That's the worst opportune time that you can possibly try and use it. Sits back to the spawn doors. Is the Bomb King. Terminus jumps up, sees they can put pressure onto Modok. They hook him in, drag him in. They won't be able to find that kill. They're really diving onto him, and yet he doesn't die. That was 3 individuals who get picked off by Modok. 2 of them tried to dive, and one of them was just a little bit unsuspecting. But even still, very good hold from YeezyPogChamp.
Very, very good, and the Vivian really showing the value of an unchecked backliner to keep their team in it and keep their team in the fight. Quick here, you know, it's been sort of a quiet game from the Makoa, but I still think very, very much in the realm of being able to kind of turn things around. Now that Gogrip's gone, though, I think this looks like a pretty good defense for YeezyPogChamp, admittedly, though it is going to be drawn out.
Ooh, Yotto manages to find that shot into Baller. Steve, as Poison, Quick have both gone down. The last person on cart was Quick, so just like his name would dictate, that ending defense or that ending push was pretty quick. 2-2 tie already, as 5 ultimates up on the side of Sanguine, 2 on the side of YeezyPogChamp. Overpower almost available to him, which means he'll be able to get a potentially free pick depending on who he ults. And really, this game has been surprisingly close. I mean, in terms of damage numbers, you have Kness at the top, but Androxus and Bomb King aren't too far behind.
Capture point spawning in 15 seconds. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, and it seems like already that you have a good vantage point on the Knessa. The Accursed Arm gets used in the back line, but I mentioned Knessa, I guess, because of the fact that I guess that would be Gogurt's in towards the tail end of that engagement. 30% YeezyPogChamp. 3 ultimates up still, as no one's really committed to anything except for that overpower. They managed to take care of Poison. They're gonna walk them slowly right on over to the lava, tossed him right on in, and they managed to burn him down. 60% already available to YeezyPogChamp, as the percentage is still steadily climbing. It's not an issue whatsoever for any of YeezyPogChamp to hold on to this objective. They drop the Dome Shield down, and now at the same time, Quick is going to do what he can, but Bomb King wants a final say in the matter as he rolls right around. A beautiful Tokyo drift, moving right on in and finding the stun, but even still, that's not going to be the pick that they need to submit themselves back on the point. If Terminus dies here, obviously he is very well going to reanimate, try and find an opportunity. They do manage to do that. Both of these teams doing an absolutely amazing job at stalling most of this.
I agree. These mid-fights have been very drawn out in times when I didn't expect them to sort of be in that direction. One team kind of looks like they're going to run away with it, then they don't, vice versa. So I think wild that things have kind of kept going the way they are. That overtime going so fast. I mean, really no chance there for Sanguine. This was some of the concern in the picks and bans. I definitely felt more comfortable with the YeezyPogChamp draft because of the versatility of who can make a big difference in the mid-fight, in my opinion. I mean, whether it's a Vivian who just for a moment kind of goes off, or a Knessa, an overpower from a Khan is a free win button some of the time if you're able to capitalize on that one numbers advantage. It just seems more diverse in the sense that any one of those can make a massive difference. Obviously, you could say the same about any damage dealer, but you know, it just feels more viable, I think, from what we're seeing from YeezyPogChamp. And now Fawn, as kind of stagnant on the push this game has been, blue side has made up a lot of ground here, and they have some ultimates starting to come back soon, and then YeezyPogChamp will win the game with the conversion.
Looking for an opportunity to find that push, though. They're looking for that moment. The illusory rib was used defensively. They don't want to commit too much of this yet, except for that, my goodness, Gogurt. The minute he peeks, he's going to get taken out of the fray. The King Bomb rolls through. The hook instant stun combo is going to be enough to be all she wrote for Sin Cara. But still, the cart really hasn't moved. They're looking for opportunity to find these picks, and Yado has already found 2. He got rid of Gogurt. Gogurt just respawned, but now they have no healer. So now they have to play passive. It doesn't matter what they want to do here. The Terminus, though, the Terminus Siphon is going to be enough to stall Matthew out on the card that allows his team to be back in the position they were in beforehand. Yado Acosta finds another one onto Poison. He is very uncontested right now in the backline, looking for better opportunities time and time again. As the Accursed Arm, the Ancient Rage, everything gets used, the whole 9 yards. They just want to hold on the side of Sanguine. And in that case, they are going to be able to hold on for just a couple seconds longer as Sin Cara is trying to do what he can, but he goes down. They still have 20 seconds, so they can make it back to Car.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they do, and there are some mounted up, do have the mobility. I think at this point you're so close that maybe you at least give it a try, but you know, Yado Acosta doesn't want to teleport his way on in there. Matthew didn't see him sneak on by, but he is in there on the corner. Does have the dome shield as well. Looked like Sanguine maybe had done enough. We were going to get one more full-blown fight. Either save the game or push us onto a game 4.
It all depends on how this last engagement goes. Yado blinks out, already was pretty low. There's 3 of them up on high ground, but they take out Mwadok. Mwadok was one of their hopes to be able to try and cement this one. Sin Cara's in the back. Yado not in the best spot to find the damage. They all group up. They swarm him, see if they can find the pick, and they do. 3-3 tie so far as we head right into the final point of Split Stone Quarry. They have the reanimate still alive for Hero, but 3 ultimates on the side of YeezyPogChamp and another overpower. If they get a good overpower, that will cement a very dominant lead over the objective.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I can't believe that this set is 2-0. I mean, this has felt a lot closer than a 2-0. I guess 1-1 is as close as you can get outside of a 2-0. It's felt like a 1-1 fun. But look at the KDAs, 23 kills for Yado Acosta. That'll get it done just fine. And the job is really, it seems like Gogurts or Quicks to get over there and either go up above and Accursed Arm him down or go down beneath and hook him down from range. But Yado Acosta is slippery enough on this Kinessa that is just not possible. I mean, look at how they're playing. Ying up there, back behind the Kinessa as well. You are in range now, where if you time it well, maybe you snag a hook. But Yado Acosta's just chilling, man. I mean, they're just fighting down beneath them while he snipes down damage.
They actually managed to get Sin Cara.
Look, I mean,
that's actually crazy. They've even managed to get Gogurt as well. Quick, Gogurt, 2 of them out of the fray. Yado Acosta goes down, but he's the only one of this team that has so far. In this last mid-fight, the dome shield goes up. They find the stun and the damage directly onto the barrack, but it's still not enough to submit themselves the kill. They get the kill on Hero, but he already has to reanimate. They back up, give him his space, give him respect, if anything, as the animation comes through. And still, 87% for YeezyPogChamp. Sanguine have gained more, but that's because they've lost 1 more than the enemy team. They might lose 2 more, and that's going to be it, as now Matthew has to wait for a little bit longer to make his way back to the objective. The rest of them have to find the damage necessary on straggling members of Sanguine, so that way the retake is easier for them.
And I think what Sanguine lack maybe in mobility and what I call playmaking ability, that they gain in the ability to set up fights. One of the notables is the hook on in. That's an important trait for Yado Acosta. You've now evened up this fight, and it's going to get more lopsided.
Shots keep coming out on the side of Yado as Mwadok finds one of the Hero. Quick, the last bastion of hope for Sanguine on this objective, as he has to use the Ancient Rage just to make sure he's alive. They're in a better off spot than before. Half Shell gets dropped. Illusory Rip just for defensive purposes. They're going to end up using the Headhunter as well. They find 1 kill onto him, and now Hero has to do what he can. They toss out the Siphon and see if he can hold on for just a little bit longer. He cannot, and YeezyPogChamp take this one against Sanguine, making it a 1-2.
I mean, look where Yado Acosta's fighting in that fight. He is on the other team's high ground. He's on the ledge of the other team's side of the map, and the wherewithal. all right, we got a kill. He's respawning in X number of seconds. All right, he's going to be behind you here soon. Teleport over to bleachers. Move yourself back toward your team side.
Mhm.
I mean, that's why I was wondering if Sanguine consider banning out that Kinessa as well. I think she is fantastic on Split Stone Quarry in a way that Strix is also good, but he's good for just confirmable high ground damage and trading out. You stealth, you pop a shot at somebody who's on the other high ground, and you're able to free fire for a second. I think Kinessa is better in a totally different department in that. Who else in the sniper long range confirmable damage dealer department is going to be able to go from your high ground ledge to bleachers to the other team's high ground ledge back to bleachers just as the fight moves around? 24, 9, and 14, I think, tends to agree with that point there. 13 and 9 as well for the con. That's a well-rounded game from YeezyPogChamp to push us on. I think there were moments. I mean, it feels hard saying that. I mean, it was kind of the Kinessa against the world. I say it's hard saying that because Sanguine pushed us to 7 points. So it's not like Sanguine were out of this game or anything like that. But there's just no consistent answer to that Kinessa on the high ground. She was able to do what she wanted, it felt like, time and time again.
Yeah, and I think that's why we've seen Knesset in the ban column over Strix a lot of these times. It is I believe me and Kresnik had a discussion about this beforehand, where there was a situation where Strix had been banned, not the Knessa on one of the sniper maps, and we had talked a little bit about it, and it eventually came down to the fact that Knessa just gets out easier. Invisibility, great, but you can't counteract a raw teleport like that. We can head right into the next pick and ban phase for what could be this final map for Sanguine, or will exactly YeezyPogChamp be able to even things up? For the most part, though, I would assume that maybe we might see a little bit of some differences here. Maybe they'll actually go for the Torval once again. Maybe they'll go for, I don't know, maybe the ROM. They might go for the dive. They have Fish Market, so the angles are wide. We could see another sniper, and there's a Strix ban.
All right, so let's raise the same question. Does Sanguine feel the need to now ban out the Kinessa as well? If I'm YeezyPogChamp, though, it is important to note sides are flipped here. So Sanguine have the ability to ban sort of what they want and force YeezyPogChamp into a spot where they're the ones deciding what it is that they are okay with letting through. Sanguine not happy letting either Strix or Kinessa through. You know, I hesitate to bring up Corvus because he hasn't been, you know, the mainstay in NA in the same way that he has been in other regions, but still around should either of these teams want him. Androxus tends to be in that first pick spot. I think it makes some sense. You know, it's been sort of a quiet day from the Andro. We've seen some good moments, some bad moments, but it's that potential, especially on a map like Fish Market, where he can float around those mid fights and do serious work, and then also open up the doors easier if you're on that offensive push. You know, you can go up and over those houses, find some good damaging shots down there onto the enemy backline. So I think it makes sense here for Sanguine. You're going to have to be fighting against a Victor and an Atlas, though, so that's some long-range damage that Sanguine's going to have to address at some point.
Androxus, Khan, Barrick, Victor, Atlas, Maldamba. And it seems like the YeezyPogChamp have a pretty sustainable composition for themselves. Meanwhile, Sanguine have the more sort of in-your-face style, if anything. Barrett, Khan, we've seen them be aggressive, and Droxus helps as well. But Furia is the thing that cements that aggression with the Inflame. And Leon last. Wow, it has been a long time since I have seen somebody pick Leon. How do you feel about it?
I think she'll be all right, actually. I think, you know, the continued trend, I mean, it's obvious. None of our characters have gotten, like, wildly reworked, so it's kind of pointless for me to say, but it's all numbers adjustments, and at the end of the day, what Leon wants to do is big burst damage in an area where you can't really miss. So, and she still does that. And if you are doing that well enough, and while at the highest level, you know, that's the important thing to look at, is at the highest level, these small number changes make a massive difference because these players are maximizing the numbers almost at every single possible turn. So, you know, you talk about a small damage nerf or whatever it might be, a small cooldown nerf. Those 1 seconds, the half a second, the little bit of damage makes a big difference. I like the Leon pick here. I think she'll be able to duel out with Victor pretty well.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. YeezyPogChamp, Sanguine, both of these teams have been locked in as the map is Fish Market. Let's head into game and see what's up with both of these teams. They have Cherish, obviously. I can't imagine they would use Solar Blessing if anything. It just makes it too hard to actually try to connect that on everyone. But any
Yeah.
other sort of talents that stick out to you, Dave? Anything that you notice?
Kind of looking down our list here, nothing jumping out immediately. It's back to decimation here for this terminus. So moving away from the stun from what we saw in our previous game, but standard, I think, by all other metrics. This mid fight is going to be interesting now. I think that Vivian definitely throws a bit of a different vibe out onto the table, especially with this. Look out for this throughout this game, where this Atlas wall, I mean, it stops everything Sanguine not only wants to do, but is able to do. It is a somewhat long cooldown, so Sanguine just have to bide their time until the wall goes down. But you have already lost almost this entire right-hand side, and soon enough, Sin Cara and the rest of YeezyPogChamp are going to start to round the corner on you in the same way we're seeing here.
24% to 12. But they're trying to see if they can hit the setback on the con. Doesn't quite work out for them though. It just goes directly into a shield. But Baller Steve finds that opening kill onto Sin Cara. As they were trying to hold on the high ground. Now that they've lost one, obviously they can't hold that at all until he gets back. So they have to concede a little bit of space to them. YeezyPogChamp, 48% to 33 on the side of Sanguine.
Still building up though for YeezyPogChamp. Barrage is going to be, I think, the biggest difference maker here on the first swing. You build that ultimate up quickly. Sends down a couple rockets, doesn't find anything, and now he's going to get pushed by Gogurt. Is Gogurt going to win the 1v1? No, he's not. Yaro Costa able to turn it around.
Yeah, it seems like Sanguine still been able to make. For a second, I got so I'm about to out myself here for a second. I saw the turret on point and automatically associated with any deployable on the point as Luna. So when he left, I was like, why is it not getting right? I was like, why is it not getting any percentage? Regardless, here nor there, 81%. They've now gained the lead as Barrick has returned on the point. It seems like Inflame has been used. A reset Baller Steve thanks to the setback, but Poison, he can't peek that for long. He has to concede that for the most part. He used the accursed arm around the corner, sees if he can find the damage. They don't find it quite yet as Matthew manages to get that last hit, but Gogurt manages to clean up the kill for him. Finds two actually, as he might find a better opportunity for his team to capture this point. 96% and still climbing. As it's gotten to an even 99, step back on the point and you got yourselves the first point capture.
That's right, Sanguine. And I mean, that is a long first fight. I mean, we are 3 minutes into this game after a small wind-in period, and Sanguine end up coming out on top of that one. Our big concern, maybe my big concern, you might mirror it as well with this Furia, is we saw like devastatingly low healing numbers in one of our previous games where she just did not heal. I mean, we're talking half, like half what the enemy healer was doing. So if throughout this game we see this Furia able to keep up, that is where I think this game kind of turns in Sanguine's favors. It really in that healing department. Maldamba, you know what you're getting with him. You point and click, you get a heal. You throw down a gourd, you get a heal. You know, Furia just has the ability to kind of fall behind through the manner of a lot of her healing. Gogurt gets exiled out there, he'll stay alive. So that's just something I want to keep a metric on. It's been good so far for Sanguine, 6th streak burning away on Baller Steve. But keep our eyes on it, I think, as the game goes on. I mean, it's early on here, but if Furia starts to fall behind one way or another, that could be where this game starts to pivot.
10 seconds still on the clock as the car did make it halfway, but it's steadily falling back, and anything seems like Sanguine are still in control. They haven't really given up any space, but they haven't gained any either. Yaro Costa might be the first nail in the coffin for them though, as they pick him off. In the minute that they do, the cart now starts rolling once again. Poison, speed, just speed like crazy is going to be able to move right on in and make it back into the fray here. Manages to rotate around to help out his team. Manages to find 2 kills at that. They're finding enough to allow this cart to keep pushing forward, even with 30 seconds still remaining on the clock. Depends on if Quick wants to use his overpower or not. He might hold on to it, but Depends on how hard they want to be able to capture the second point.
Mwadak sprouts forth big defensive piece of utility that YeezyPogChamp will try to take advantage of. Inflame Fawn, Sanguine are trying to go.
Seems like they also use the accursed arm up top. They force out the resurrection from Matthew as he manages to get a kill with it.
Wow,
They take care of Gogurt and Quick. Baller Steve finds the last hit on Matthew, but they won't be able to do much after that, or will they? They're still alive. He got set back. Baller Steve is keeping Hero alive for a little bit longer, but it's still not going to be enough. Mwadak spawns just in time and manages to actually get that kill that ties things up at a 1.
I mean, that is what a play from
Right.
YeezyPogChamp. There is no world. I mean, you're talking about, you're looking at like ESPN, you're watching like a win probability graph. If you're looking at like the push probability graph, as that fight started, no kills on board, Inflame gets popped, Sanguine get 2 quick kills, you're shooting up to like 99% push probability in that moment. And YeezyPogChamp, reanimate is well timed. It has to be perfectly timed because you're not contesting while you're laying there dead on the ground. While you're, I mean, you have to be back on the map. So you're biding your time. It worked out perfectly for Matthews. Not only does he get back in, he gets a detonation kill. And not only does he get a kill, it's on to Gogurt of all people, somebody who you need for that extra range to keep YeezyPogChamp at bay. I think it was just sort of a perfect storm. And good play. I mean, I'm not going to say it was some sort of fluke. I think YeezyPogChamp played that defense about as well as you could to keep it from going on it.
Yeah, 12% to 3 so far. As Yeezy have now cemented themselves on the point. They're still holding on against Sanguine. Sanguine are the ones trying to find opportunities, not only set themselves on the point like Hero was just able to, but find a pick or anything that might allow it to tip even more in their favor. The Exile manages to hit 1, 2, and 3, but still, no confirm off of that, just ends up exiling them. I'm not too sure what that could have been used for. They even lose Matthew after.
It was kind of a weird turn of events, it seemed, and definitely the turn of events is against YeezyPogChamp. Sanguine not only have taken control, but they found a couple of kills here. 57% and building up. No comeback mechanic for either team. So just a good old-fashioned fight. A bit of a flank going on. Yeah, is that Victor? Yano Acosta made his way all the way into the back line. Gogurt there, Enlightenment. Maybe just enough to keep him alive through that barrage. And now it's an Inflame to seal the deal.
Yeah, they want to hold on to this objective, obviously, as they throw out the temporal divide. Sin Cara plays a little bit around it. There's already 3 there. He can't look for a better opportunity for that as he misses the shots and manages to die to Hero, who turns around. But thanks to Gogurt and his team, they were able to actually get that kill and lower Sin Cara low enough to where that mattered. Dome Shield on point as they capture it. No one else able to step on. The slow stun manages to hit Mwadak, but it's not going to be too detrimental for him.
It's a good mid-fighting team that Sanguine have. You're hoping that your Victor can out-duel this Leon on some occasions, but that has just not really felt like the case. It seems like Gogurt has just gotten better, or the better rather, of the Victor. Most of the times, the two of them have started to go at one another. Now you look at the Inflame charge. The Inflame was used, what, like 20 seconds ago to capture off that mid-fight. It's already up at 65% here, so give it another 20 or 30 seconds and it'll be fully charged up. And I think YeezyPogChamp are good enough to keep the payload at bay. The barrage seriously limits that, in my opinion. Not having the barrage, rather. Oh, the grenade around the corner, he got it. They were staring at each other. I thought Gogurt was going to live.
Yeah, I did too. I mean,
I think if Sanguine use that Inflame again, though, YeezyPogChamp are going to have a hard time keeping this push where it's at.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be able to make it out too, just staring longingly into one another's eyes before one of them just falls to the ground dead in front of them. Unlucky, if anything. 1:15 on the clock, but believe me, that is plenty of time to make it back to the cart. Sin Cara trying to hold his own with Mwadak here. The flank as they put up the temporal divide. They managed to plug damage to the Hero, but nothing quite yet. Gogurt can't even stand there as Mwadak, Sin Cara, they slowly make their push forward, find more and more damage. Any person Mwadak looks at just melts, and it's hard for any of them to contest against that Vivian, as they now have plenty of control over high ground. Anyone that steps back will be shot.
sure will, and with how long this fish market map is, you know, that we're talking about push probabilities. We're heavily in YeezyPogChamp's territory right now. This Dread Serpent definitely, I think, starts to confirm things here. You know, if Hero had somehow stayed alive, you know, maybe things start to look a little bit different, but with 20 seconds left, I hesitate to see a way back in now for Sanguine. They might be able to get back, get overtime, but this is a long push, especially with that uphill swing. So I think YeezyPogChamp, I don't hate the idea of spending that Dread Serpent there. I think that keeps just enough of Sanguine at bay to where this becomes less realistic. We'll at least get an overtime attempt, but you're a man down as Gogurt is still back and respawn.
He has to play around this overtime timer pretty effectively, and even if he doesn't, you have Yado pretty much pumping a lot into his back. If he just bullet after bullet, they are going to be able to find the kill, a score tied at 2-2, and I think it's about a good time now since it is tied at 2-2. Crescent, can we see the healing to see how Furia is faring this go around? Oh wow, she's actually leaps and bounds over the Maldamba thing.
Yeah, that's what you want to see. I mean, obviously, that is a very bland statement. Of course, you always want to see your healer on top, but especially with Furia, who again is maybe more at risk of falling behind. You're always going to be double happy if she's not only keeping up but surpassing what Damba has been able to do here. So you know, Baller Steve's a fantastic support player, and so no surprise that he's looked as good as he has on this Furia pick here. Sanguine very close to having all their very important ultimates up. The Dread Serpent, actually, I think it's a pretty big one that's down now for YeezyPogChamp. Exiles, I think, got to find some value here, and they haven't done so yet. Or at all.
Like they want to, yeah, it's not going to be able to find its shot, so he's going to go ahead and cancel it while he has the ability to manage to get rid of Matthew. I think too many people were looking at him. He was just open, out in the open on the objective, and since the exile didn't work, that means that Atlas no longer had a line of sight. Same thing for Matthew and Gogurt. Oh no, he used the dome shield, but it gets killed too early. It came out, so he doesn't get that refunded to him. Tosses the grenade down. They're trying to peel for Baller Steve, and they don't manage to do it, but they at least are able to trade that for him. The battle shout goes out, manages to find the heal. Will they get the kill? They do. Poison playing extremely well with Quick, as they're both living beyond the odds, more than what you think they would be able to live through. They do manage to do it, and they manage to get the retake.
You know, I mean, when I talk about one-player pop-off potential, and we mention Androxus, that's why. I mean, that mid-fight looks like YeezyPogChamp could run away with it, but not the case here. Poison's starting to feel himself a little bit right at the right time. YeezyPogChamp trying to keep themselves alive in this set. A Dread Serpent from range isn't going to be there. Fawn, that's actually a very tough Dread Serpent, a triple kill for Poison. But now you have to look at all the ground Sanguine are able to take. This cart might move so quickly, you might not get a second chance at a Dread Serpent here in this game. I mean, that's a last-ditch effort to try to maybe save this mid. It's at 45%, so I'll gladly eat my words there. But I thought it was truly going to be much lower back off of respawn. But so you will likely see another Dread Serpent here. So not spending all that much, I suppose, as far as where he's at now. But Sanguine able to make up a lot of ground very quickly. They're just waiting for that end flame, I think, and we're going at it again.
Barrage goes out, pumps a lot of damage in a hero, but they are able to keep him alive. That Fury healing might be enough, as he's now at full, I believe, and manages to escape. I want to play this one slow very clearly. Gogurt gets brought down pretty low as well. They use the setback, the end flame to counter things out. That may have been the bait they were looking for. They push up a little bit too far. Yado gets bursted, and now Sikar has to find a way out. He doesn't have his rewind to get his health back. So with that being the case, man, I love how they played that. Sanguine waited for the push. The minute Furia heard or saw two of them pushing their teammates, they used that end flame and they turned the entire fight around on its head. 1 minute and 10 still remaining, but they may not even need that much, because YeezyPogChamp are going to have to scramble to make their way back to the objective they want to try and stall. Here he comes, Matthew, right on the objective with Hero. The fight moves out of the way of the stun. The Dread Serpent manages to catch out Hero, but still he's alive and managing to live, playing around the barricade. There's so many around him, but they've lost so much health. Poison down, this might be a little bit harder for them to last, as Quick goes down soon after that. And the rest of them have to find a way out. Setback is Gogurt. That's going to be all she wrote for him. As now it seemed like they were going to be able to hold on for quite some time, or they were going to roll it in, excuse me. But Sanguine, they're going to fall short of that. But they've got 30 seconds left. That is more than enough time. We saw them in the same position last round. They can make it back and fight.
And they're going to have an Inflame in all likelihood before the round is over. Another Inflame to give this another try. As long as, I mean, it's going to be close. I say in all likelihood, it really depends how these next few seconds go. You're probably going to need a little bit of time in overtime. Imagine you see a Dome Shield, if that opportunity is there to buy enough time. Keep your eye on that timer, 77%. Sanguine might not feel pressed, but if they see an opening, they'll take it.
Well, it seems like Hero wants to use the Dome Shield. He Goomba stomps the Terminus directly on his head and makes sure that he actually can't escape, at least for a little bit longer. Gogurt goes down. How long will the rest of the team be able to hold on? They have to use the Resurrection if they want to roll it in. They have to use it, and they do force it out. That's big. Even if they lose the round, that is still huge. They found the kill and forced the Terminus reanimate. They have the Inflame next round.
God.
That is what they need. They wanted it, and they got it. 0-4 and 20 for Quick. He may not have a kill, but my goodness, that is a slash line and a half on the frontliner.
Yeah, fantastic there from Quick. 0-4 20 for the con there. So that's sort of it's so weird because so often we talk about like just kills and deaths. That is like a support slash line through and through. I haven't done a lot of killing. Sure haven't done a lot of dying, but I've been in these fights, you know, pretty consistent amount. 10k healing, nothing to scoff at there. Further pulling ahead in the healing department for Sanguine's team total. Morale boost. A little bit more might have gotten that ultimate in time for Baller Steve, but I think Hero dying kind of sealed the deal on that last one. Barrage has been very quiet this game. I think that gives YeezyPogChamp the best chance to win this game here in point 7.
Right now, they're holding on by a thread. They only have 12% to Sanguine, but they're trying to play this relatively slow. Everyone trying to leave. They're running them down. They're trying to find opportunity. They find so much damage on the Hero, and they find the kill at that. Also a grenade. They're trying to see if they can even cement their lead further, but they use the Inflame again, jebaited into another engagement. They're gonna get taken out in droves, if anything. Kill after kill, death after death. Man, oh man, that shoutouts to Baller Steve, dude. That is
my man presses his ult button like nobody else.
That's what I'm saying, man. I mean, that doesn't sound like the best, but when you see how he's been,
you're right.
Man, man, dude. It's great. Oh, good overpower as well on Warlock. Got him flipping on the way back in. Dread Serpent to keep him back as well. They want to submit this one in the books for Sanguine. 2-1 with overtime. They have to play around the divider. He's looking for an opportunity to find that last pick. Yano Acosta is there, but they found out two. Both frontliners down, out of the count for right now as Maldamba slithers his way into the respawn. And now you have to deal with Yano Acosta. He's taking out Sanguine. Win this one with a 4-3. They win this entire set.
This is what, a 3-1 set? Again, that does not feel like a 3-1.
No, it doesn't.
That is so close from YeezyPogChamp and Sanguine. But Sanguine continue their resurgence here in phase 2. I mean, I don't even know if it's a resurgence at this point. They might just be back now from what we saw in phase 1 to where they are now here in phase 2. High healing numbers, exactly what you wanted to see there from Baller Steve. Gogurt on this Leon. That was kind of the question mark, and all of those questions were answered. 124,000 damage on the Leon. And what a difference those healing numbers made, because, you know, you look at Gogurt on the Leon kind of countering out Mwadak. Then there's Yano Acosta at 143,000 damage, and nobody else is there to counter him out. Hero did 92,000 damage. Gogurt did 86,000, so Hero, another thumbs up to him on the Barrack, another fantastic performance. But that 30k healing difference was doubly important for Baller Steve and Quick to add up on, because there was also Mwadak, who was just farming damage the entire time. You know, Furia might fall by the wayside, Fawn, with Genos and Corvus being as popular as they are. In the right hands, if you are able to keep up in that healing department, Inflame is almost second to none when it comes to team fights, and that's something you're always going to want on your side. So I love the ability, the possibility of drafting a composition around a Furia that Sanguine have.
I agree with that too, because I just think that I'm glad that we had the conversation during draft about where does Furia sort of fit here into this overall composition. We've seen her fall to the wayside consistently, but this time, Sanguine, that's not going to end up being the case. Those are all of the games that we have for you today, but be sure later on in this week you tune in Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern to make sure you can get a good look at the Paladins Pro Circuit broadcast. Ramsey, she's back
Oh,
in
God.
there. On behalf of everyone
Finally
on the
tired.
Paladins team, me, Dawson, Finch, and Kresnik in production. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us for this long day on this Tuesday afternoon into evening. We really, really appreciate you all. You can close us out.